left Christianity and fundamentalist churches, I noticed how churches teach its members to trust, defend, and enable misogynists and predators in government and political positions. It's not really a surprise, is it? If you know American and world history, you notice that religion is always infiltrating itself among authoritarian fascist regimes. There's a reason why Hitler liked God, and Castro enjoyed religion, and you look at every major evil leader in the last 500 years. They all claim some divine leadership or that some Christian God is on their side. Or a Muslim God. There's always that. That's why when political opponents and politicians insert religion into political statements, speeches, or platforms, I start seeing Hitler. Be very careful when people in power use God in anything they do. You can excuse anything if you invoke some god or some deity's name. You can actually cause genocide in the name of God, and it's written off as justifiable. It's not, but they'll find a way, because that's just how religion works. It's quite terrifying in my opinion, but that's the way a lot of religion works. And it shouldn't be much of a surprise that that is how religion functions. It hasn't really changed that much in 2,000 years. And even before Christianity and Islam was a thing, religion always inserted itself into politics. You look at the theocracy in Jewish Israel. They had nothing in government without religion. That's what a theocracy is. It's basically Sharia law, but they just changed the name of the god. And yeah, Christians love Sharia law. They just call it the Ten Commandments. Before the 2016 election, there was a lot of people out there that never dreamed that someone like Trump would ever become president. Were they genuinely naive, or did they actually believe that our country isn't as racist as it really is? Not really sure, but America really did prove on 2 separate occasions that we have a racism problem. And it's not going anywhere. We elected a man to be our president who has over 30 felonies. He was found liable in a court of law for sexual misconduct due to a lawsuit. Well, several lawsuits. And it is not a surprise that America would choose a white, privileged, cis heterosexual predator and felon over a qualified black person, gay person, or woman. America has proven time and time again they have no respect for anyone who doesn't look like Donald Trump. Why do religions seem to consistently back predators and just the worst stereotypes of being white? Well, honestly, that's why Christianity is so big, because it created the whole idea of colonialization, sexism, racism. It upheld slavery. There's a reason why Christianity is so popular. because I can't think of any religion or secular group whose ideologies, their Bible, their just the social expectations and goings on, like Christianity, that perpetuates, creates, enables, and instructs people by enabling the worst kinds of predators. And it is not a surprise to me. It will be a surprise when we actually in 2028 get to vote for a half-decent human being. Someone who isn't friends with Jeffrey Epstein. But why do church, Christianity, and just religion and conservative politics, why do they always seem to go together? Why do they always seem to bend over backwards, usually literally on the Grindr app, to protect, enable, and elect just awful pieces of garbage? Because the core values of Christianity worships virgins and upholds male privilege. So it's not really a surprise when Christians vote and enable predators. Christianity is a blueprint for how to pray, how to use people's beliefs against them. You look at the average church, the ideology, the belief systems, the entire framework of religion. Make sure that religion itself influences and is a driving force behind good and bad politics. Why are MAGA Trump supporters extremely conservative and religious? Because there isn't any social structure that is as enabling and helpful as Christianity when it comes to racism. I mean, come on. The Southern Baptists didn't even admit slavery was wrong until 1995. I mean, 130 years later, and they just say, well, you know, maybe slavery wasn't so good after all. Yeah. This is why I don't trust Christianity, period. It takes them 130 years to actually admit something is wrong. And Christians can never condemn slavery without feeling like a hypocrite, because the Bible never condemns it. You can't really be a biblically accurate Christian and condemn slavery because the Bible never condemns it. It actually tells people how to do slavery, how to sell your daughters into slavery, what is allowable, not this is awful, it's what's allowable. That is the kind of rules you will find in the Bible. Christianity has really never condemned slavery until it was only in their best interest to maintain their privilege. That's why they changed their mind. Because they were terrified they would lose money. If churches were in no danger of losing any members, financial benefits, or social and political pull, they would have never admitted that slavery was wrong. They only do it to survive and maintain their privilege. So it's not really a surprise that religions and secular institutions that were started and still run through authority of white privileged men, why it's hard or almost impossible for them to consistently take accountability. Slavery has always been in fashion whenever Christianity was the majority. Sexism has always had a great driving force because of Christianity. Violence against women, the way our society sees women as a deformed man, is right out of the Bible. just because the New Testament says that women are something special, doesn't mean that anyone who calls God Father has any idea or follows those teachings whatsoever. My own family believes that women are inferior to men, that women should be silent, and having to hear a woman's voice is a punishment from God. They don't see women as equal and just as important. Religion views women as the place that people come out of. That's what they view women as. And it's not a surprise that the people around Trump view women as baby-making machines, as trad wives. They don't see them as human beings because Trump doesn't see women as fully human. If he actually saw women as fully human, he wouldn't have raped and molested them. What does electing Trump say to other countries? Who you have as your leader should be the best, the most moral, and the most decent role model of your country. Electing a court-viewed rapist, child molester, who was best friends with predators, who jokes and makes light of human trafficking on live television. What do you think that's telling the men of our country and the men outside of our country? We're considered the most powerful country on the planet, even though we are not the greatest country. If you asked anyone in any country who's the most powerful man on the planet, they would probably say the U.S. president. We are the leader of the free world, according to historians. And yet, we still believe that a rapist is the most qualified leader over a vice president who may be not white or the woman. She's not qualified. But we would rather choose a white, cis, privileged man who has been found liable and guilty in a court of law for being a predator. America is fucked up. If any country elected a known rapist and friend of world human traffickers, America would condemn that country as a piece of shit. And yet, we think it's normal and applaudable to elect that kind of person. And calling Trump a person is a stretch. He doesn't view 51% of the people on this planet as worthy of respect and not being a danger to anyone who isn't male. As long as Christianity perpetuates, enables, and worships the white cis heterosexual image, they will consistently and unfortunately side, enable, and protect predators. They do it within their churches. So them doing it in Washington, D.C. is not a surprise to me. We need to start electing the kind of people who will make our country look good outside of our country. Do you think countries respect and take America seriously when we have Donald Duck as our leader? No. Trump is one of the worst negotiators who call themselves president in American history. I mean, the two longest shutdowns of the government in American history were under the 2 terms of Donald Trump. He is the lowest voter statistical, he has less than 30% positive ratings. Not even Herbert Hoover during the Great Depression had that low. That tells you what a terrible choice Donald Trump is and was. And yet, our patriarchal institutions, which religion is the most patriarchal version of the patriarchy that exists on the planet, they will always defend the worst traits and stereotypes of being white. And if you have the unfortunate existence of being a woman in those religions and factions of extreme Christianity, the highest you could probably go in fundamentalist Christianity is being in charge of the potluck. Because they don't see women as equal. They see them as deformed men who have less brain capability, kind of like how they view African American people. And I'm not kidding when I say that famous white orators like Charlie Kirk viewed African American men as less qualified to fly an airplane than a white man. If our president wants to canonize someone like that, we made a very bad choice last November what kind of person we chose to be president. America is an embarrassment right now to every country that isn't an authoritarian fascist state. The only people laughing are the dictators. And when our leader of our country views dictators as how we view Washington, the first president of the United States, we have a problem. The church will always consistently support bad people because they've gotten this powerful by doing so. Luckily, the more progressive liberal churches don't endorse Trump. And by the way, it is against the law for any church to tell people how to vote or to endorse a candidate or a political party. You lose your tax exemption status having a political affiliation. So any leader, any church that endorses a candidate or a political party should have their tax exemption status revoked. You don't deserve not to pay taxes if you get involved in a specific candidate or political party. It's not okay because we have separation of church and state. So one group of political affiliation doesn't become too powerful. And in my opinion, it's un-American for any candidate to use religion in any speech unless it's to condemn bad behavior. The worst decades of American history were under people who used God in their speeches. The 50s, the 80s, the 2000s. They were under the leadership of extreme conservative presidents who were not good people. The most racist presidents we've ever had are the presidents conservatives look up to. Reagan, Eisenhower, Bush, very racist, very homophobic. People deserve better. And I will never vote red because they don't view queer people and people of different orientations as being equal and of having equal value. My whole family is Republican conservative fundamentalists. For some reason, they don't like Trump, so that's weird. A good weird, but it's still weird. As long as religion uses politics, or politics uses religion to control the masses, I will never trust organized religion. Because Hitler was smart. He used God to do terrible things. Just because you have God on a poster or invoke the name of a specific religion doesn't make you any better than Hitler. And when politics combines political rhetoric and religion or religious ideology together, it's dangerous. People die. Wars start because candidates can't not invoke some religion into their candidacy, their administration. I don't care how many Bibles you sell. If you can't keep your hands off women, you are a pig. Politics has always loved religion because where and how they invoke the name of God or Allah gives them an image of respectability. But it doesn't make you a good person. It just means you should know better.